Hello, everyone. A completely off-the-cuff chat today with Nicole. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good. We don't actually know each other, so we can introduce ourselves to each other to the audience at the same time. Yeah, Nicole, I'm Sean from HardForking. You
Yeah.
are?
So I'm Nicole. I'm host of Web3 TV.
Awesome. Tell us a bit about Web3 TV.
It actually started because I was working for a television company in Phoenix that was aiming, the owner of the company had purchased a bunch of low frequency advertising or low frequency television airtime and needed several shows. So I started doing that show for him, and then that company ended up running out of funds and and shutting down.
Right.
So I'm just still kind of doing Web3 TV.
Wow, you've got your own television network there by the sound of it.
No. So nothing is like anymore. There was a brief little bit of time where my content was being broadcast on YouTube and on Phoenix Crypto TV.
Yep.
But Phoenix Crypto TV no longer exists. And so now I don't know, I had spent so much time interviewing people and collecting and gathering information. I really didn't want all of that time to go completely to waste. So I just repurposed the footage.
Awesome. So you're in crypto content creation, obviously, and you're off to Acapulco. That's the first time I've ever said that correctly, actually. Acapulco. Wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited. My flight leaves in just a few hours, actually.
Oh, awesome. I'd love to do a video with you while you're there. That was Jeff Berwick, the Dollar Vigilante, was somebody I came across way back, a good few years ago. Pretty interesting character. Have you met him before?
I haven't. I've had the chance to message with him a little bit on social media just to sort of warm him up to the idea of talking to me in person.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, I've never met him in person. I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Cool. So tell us a bit about yourself. What sort of content do you make, and what is crypto for you?
Okay. Well, so I was in a religious studies PhD program many years ago, and then I had to stop doing that while I had a baby, and I needed to find an income real quick. So I started doing retail arbitrage, buying stuff at discount stores and then selling it online.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of having this panic attack about what would happen in financial collapse, because that would mean people weren't buying frivolous items on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of started to panic about that. Simultaneously, my boyfriend was really obsessed with cryptocurrency and kind of wouldn't stop talking about it. So I ended up creating this whole story about how I was tied to the price of cryptocurrency and that he should stop pissing me off. And it came into this whole thing, I use the price of cryptocurrency to emotionally manipulate my boyfriend.
Okay. Fantastic. And tell us about what projects is there any particular project or community that you're part of, or where do you sort of fit in that spectrum?
So I would say, generally, I think that identifying with one community above everything else, or I'm a, BTC or BSV or ETH, or Ripple or whatever it is, completely closing yourself off to the idea that there could be other projects out there that are providing value is a really big problem. I try not to do that. That said, I have to admit that Ethereum's my favorite project. I don't have anything against other projects. I'm open to learning about so many different things. I've spent time in many different crypto communities. I just that's what I got in with. That's really, so for the first 3 years that I was in cryptocurrency, had nothing to do with the community, really. I had some local friends and my boyfriend, of course, and then everybody I talked into buying cryptocurrency. But I wasn't really active on crypto Twitter. I wasn't making videos. And then I went to work for CCN.
Okay. Wow. So how many years have you been in the space?
I think that Valentine's Day is my 4th anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is somewhat of an eternity in the space, isn't it? It feels like
It is. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much 4 years as well. I definitely had imposter syndrome for, the first couple of years.
I'm sure that I still suffer from imposter syndrome.
You seem pretty confident to me. So, for me, it's 4 years. I've had what was very much a Bitcoin brand, still is. But I think as you've just watched, I'm launching a series called The Real Cryptos. What I'm trying to do with that is tell some interesting stories about who we are, what's happening in the space that would both educate and entertain in equal measure and help bring some new people in. But I'd love to hear your opinion on this, but I'm not seeing a huge amount of newbies coming into the space. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have a take on that? Obviously, we're on different sides of the world here. I'm in Asia, and you're in the US. I presume you're in the US. Is that where you are?
I am. I'm in the US. Yeah. So, I mean, do I see new people coming into crypto? Yeah, I definitely am starting to. Okay. I'm seeing like more accounts like with new people popping up on CT, like where it's people, who haven't had an account forever. And you know what, like people can make secondary and whatever accounts, but like actually a lot of people DM me and ask me questions like, where should I buy my first cryptocurrency? And sometimes I think that they might be razzing me or just like seeing what I'm going to say, but I always try to like keep it as neutral as I can. I'm like, well, Coinbase is the easiest, but there's problems with the fees. And like, I recommend localbitcoins.com if it's an option for you.
Yeah.
But like,
that's an important point. What do you for you, is Bitcoin something, I see a lot of guys now who are creating content specifically for BTC are suggesting, these exchanges, often it's their sponsor that they're talking about. What are your thoughts around that? Or do you think Bitcoin is more something that should be bought privately, that, you're not having to go through KYC, that you, in effect, then really do own and is unconfiscatable? Is that important to you, or how do you sort of view Bitcoin in that regard?
Well, should you be able to buy Bitcoin without having your identity verified? Is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah, do you advise people to do that, would be the question.
Well, I wouldn't really be qualified to tell people how to do that because I've never
This isn't financial advice, is it, by the way? Let's get that we need to do that. This isn't financial advice. It's two people having a chat.
Of course.
We don't give financial advice.
I am not qualified to give financial advice. Please don't take financial advice from me. No, so
what she said. Me too.
So personally, I have purchased cryptocurrency fully in compliance with KYC. Yeah. Like my first crypto purchases were through Coinbase. I think that it's a really great on-ramp project. Like, people have some issues with the fines, people have some issues with the centralization, but like, really, is it better than the alternative, which was nobody could really buy Bitcoin, well, like, no, it was confusing. It was difficult. I think that the more important part is that people enter and like learn as they go, first cycle, second cycle.
Bitcoin's so many different things ultimately, isn't it? It really depends what it is for you. I mean, our job as educators is a tough one. Not only are we trying to convey the many different things that it is, and obviously now we've got these different Bitcoins. Which brings us on to a chat we were having off camera. I was getting trolled by some people in the BSV community last night, which is kind of hilarious. I make a lot of content with that community. I really rate what they're doing very highly. I know it extremely well. Yet I still get called a fucking idiot, and what else was I called last night? Some clown that doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's a bit of a no-win situation where, for me personally, where I'm trying to educate across these different protocols. And you know, you are welcomed with open arms and hugs and kisses by a community if you're making content about them. But the second you mention someone else, they just come down on you like a ton of bricks, which is certainly the case for me at the moment with you know, the two communities that I cover the most in BTC and BSV. What's been your experience on that front?
So exactly the same thing, and you're right, what we were talking about off camera, and I've had this conversation on camera with Besa, where it's
you know Besa?
I do, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. So I've had this conversation with him where, like, I didn't really understand that this was that big of a problem because I hadn't actually been, like, on the ground with it until last spring. So what happened, I was writing for CCN. I went to Toronto because, you know, Craig Wright agreed to talk with me, you know, in person with the camera. So I flew.
You were at CoinGeek in Toronto.
I was.
I was at CoinGeek in Toronto.
You were? I think that I've seen some of your videos before. You look and sound familiar.
Ah, that's funny. I flew all the way up there from Singapore and did the first interview of the day.
I saw that interview.
Right, okay. How did we not meet?
I don't know. So, I don't know. It was a small conference, too.
It was, yeah. Very
anyway,
strange.
So I flew up there specifically to talk with, you know, Craig and Calvin and to get the opinion of some of the people in the community.
Yeah.
But, and then I think I was there I think I only attended one day of that conference because I didn't attend the developer portion.
Right.
But so the next day it ended up that Crypto Chicks was in town, and that's, you know, it's a blockchain agnostic, but like headed by, you know.
I know. Can you tell them off for me? They were supposed to get me a ticket.
Oh, I'm sure that if you'd just shown up, they would have given you one.
I'd sent somebody else was my advanced party and they wouldn't let him in.
Really?
So I didn't go.
Oh, gosh. Well,
not that they didn't let him in, but that they tried to charge him.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one with Vitalik speaking at, wasn't it, from memory?
It was what? Vitalik, and Ben Gortzel, who's into AI, which was kind of like what I really was interested in. You know, in 2017 was the convergence of blockchain and AI.
Yep.
So like going to that was so here's what happened. So I went and I got to talk to Craig, you know, I talked to Calvin, I talked to some of the senior staff members on that team, but then out in like just mingling around, people were so mean to me. Like, oh, you're from CCN, like you write nothing but like you know, and I was like, God, this is like horrible. It was like so difficult to be there, right? So the next day I went to, you know, I managed to like make it through. I went to the after party, whatever. The next day I went to the opening, you know, welcome for Crypto Chicks, walked in and was like immediately welcomed, like, you know, oh, you're here, just like I fit right in. And I was like, oh, this is so great. Oh my God, I hated that other conference. Like, and then I thought for like 1 second, and I do not know what happened that made me think this. For 1 second, I thought like, what if I was Rebecca Leggero? You know who that is?
No.
Okay, so she's the anchor person for CoinGeek.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I have met her, actually. I met her in Singapore. What am I saying? Yep.
Yeah, she's a very nice person, you know, like, so for second.
Of course I know her. Yep, yeah.
Okay, so for 1 second, I thought, what if I were Rebecca Leggero right here, right now? Like, how would I be treated at this conference? And like, I mean, there's no real way of knowing because she wasn't there, but like in my imagination, I thought, man, it would be even worse for her here as it was for me there yesterday. And like, that was the minute that I realized that like the tribalism in cryptocurrency has to end.
Look, it's absolutely ruthless. I left that conference and went on to the Mediterranean, went on a really nice cruise called the Coinsbank cruise, which you should definitely try and get on.
Oh my gosh, I want to go so badly.
It's really fantastic. Great fun. And the first person I met there was someone I know quite well, or do know quite well, Tone Vase, and I mentioned to him that I'd just been to interview Craig Wright, and look of horror on his face, and shook his head.
Right.
And then the very next person I met was the CTO of Blockstream, and he literally wanted to throw me over the side of the boat when I mentioned that I had been at that conference, and I didn't realize the animosity between Blockstream and nChain. Obviously, the two direct competitors here, and feelings run high, putting it mildly, I think, on both sides. So
that was very fresh too. There was even less time between those events.
Yeah, that was a big learning curve for me. I was on that boat for about a week, and I had a bit of a bromance actually with some of the Blockstream guys there. We got on extremely well. I was extremely impressed with their attitude and how they sort of interacted with everyone else on the boat outside of the conference to teach people about Bitcoin. And there was a daily battle with is Craig Satoshi, is he the fraud they think he is, etc. And it was deep immersion for me with some highly intelligent people. And I've kind of popped out the other side now, taking the stance with my media that if I'm trying to create content for people new to the space, and in doing so, really, I'm just trying to do my best to present what each of these protocols does, the people involved, how they might be using it, what are the use cases, but God, it's as you say, it's difficult. It can be a no-win. It also affects the type of people that I'm attempting to bring in as sponsors. If you're sort of seen to be leaning towards one particular camp. So, as a content creator, sometimes I do sort of feel like throwing my hands in the air and either picking a team or walking away completely. It's
so hard because you're like, okay, if I pick a team, then I'll have like full access to like all of the leadership and important, but like you're also closing yourself off to so much other stuff. Is that really doing your audience justice? And
it's
like,
not.
I'm a journalist. Like it's not. It is not okay to cater your, and it's really difficult because if you don't take any side, then everyone thinks that you're against them. And it's like,
I'm so pleased to have found you. I'm so pleased to have found you. I really thought it was only it was starting to feel like it was just me having this problem out there.
No, it is not just you.
Good, because it really, it can be soul destroying. At 3:00 in the morning last night, I've kind of learned not to, especially on crypto Twitter, not let things affect me, but some of the language that gets used and the things you get called, it's just like, wow. It doesn't worry me, but I have other family members that do get affected by it. They're obviously follow my content, and when you're having to explain,
I told everyone to like disengage from me on social media.
I wish I could do that, but they don't. The second you tell someone to do that, they're going through every single comment, and so that kind of sucks. But for me, it doesn't really affect me personally. It's part of the territory, I guess. But do you have? Have you got sort of projects that you really feel are doing great things right now in particular? Obviously we're journalists. We're trying to cover the space in general, but what's really impressing you at the moment?
I think that there's so many amazing blockchain projects, and I've kind of been like real stuck in Bitcoin world, in the Bitcoin world for the last year and a half.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Because that's almost a requirement as a journalist in the bear market.
We need to team up because we do. Oh my gosh. Sounds like we're doing very much the same thing.
Yeah, so Rice and I were just talking about like we need to get like 5 people together and like we could start an LLC, and this won't really help you, but we could get health insurance.
It's probably a very, very good idea actually. My last video, I'm actually tokenizing the equity in my brand and HardForking. It is tough, to bring in. You would think there would be people that would support independent content, but I think as we've sort of highlighted, unless you're really all about one particular project, getting assistance from a lot of these people is very difficult.
Well, so I have a plan, actually. I kind of came up with a little bit idea.
Okay.
So the problem is that when somebody is funded or somebody has a sponsor, they're required to skew things in favor of that sponsor, right? So what I think that we need to do is to go to the top 5 cryptos and say, your audience deserves something that is truly impartial, some real impartial reporting about 5 cryptocurrencies, and then have the 5 of them, those 5 cryptos go in equal parts relative to their dominance.
Yeah.
And that is a fair way of handling things. And then you could at least count on objectivity of the top 5.
True.
I'm going to say this is my plan. Do you think that your audience or your potential, investors deserve to get impartial information about your coin with the other 4? And the truth is that if the answer is a no, there's a problem with that coin.
Look, I agree. Pretty much all my recent content this has been popping up constantly, in every video. I mean, I had to edit not my last video, but the one before. I was talking to the head of the Bitcoin Association, and I absolutely teed off on a couple of other people in the BSV project because they had absolutely rubbished the first episode of the series that I've put out called The Real Cryptos. It's all self-financed. It really is designed to cross over outside of crypto and bring some new people in. And a couple of people in their project who I make a lot of content with were really open about the fact you shouldn't be putting that out. It lies to people. It says that BTC is Bitcoin, which is absolutely rubbish. That entire episode which you've just watched begins by saying, you've got to decide what Bitcoin is for you, and here are these 3 projects, and here's how they've come about. So it's such a difficult one, and I would love to be there when this is put forward to those people, because that's a tough sell. They are so vitriolic.
I know it is. I'm working on it. All I want, anybody who's watching this to know, hey, we're trying.
Yeah. Look, I think. For me. I had this chat with some people in BSV the other day. I was, the price had skyrocketed, and so much shit is slung between the 3 Bitcoins in equal amounts. But as I said to them, I'm like, look, I'm trying to be independent here, but of course, subconsciously, you're always going to favor something, a community that is treating you well. So, I've
been treated badly by BTC and BSV.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, I have a lifetime ban from Bitcoin that just completely came out of the blue. When I asked them why, the answer was
a ban from Bitcoin. Who?
From the Reddit, from Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
A lifetime ban, no less.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've actually heard of this self-censorship in Reddit within the Bitcoin forums.
Look, this is just ludicrous. It's laughable. It was actually an article on privacy coins, I think, and I mentioned Craig Wright in it, and the response was that I was promoting a known fraud and scam tokens, which I find laughable after making 4 years of Bitcoin content with zero financial support from anyone in the BTC community. I'm handed a lifetime ban by some clown at Reddit. But yeah, that's how bad this is. That's how tribal this is for anyone watching this.
Here's something for your audience to hear is if there's any maximalists of any kind out there watching this, maybe you should know you attack people and that turns those people against you. What do you think happens when there's someone new to the community who comes in and asks a question about, I don't know, Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash or BSV or whatever, and that person is immediately called a scammer, or like,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you think that people who are new to this space and have no idea what's going on with all of our like drama, like, how do you think that like makes people feel about cryptocurrency? Like, do you think that that's inviting? Do you think that those people are likely to buy the coin that you're promoting? I don't understand how that logic is.
Nicole, an angel has sent you to speak to me today, because at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was literally feeling like, why am I bothering? Shall I just go and invest my time and money and buying these cryptos, trading them, whatever, or doing what a lot of other successful content creators do and just have a price show. That's the way you can be rewarded financially significantly in this space. But sort of trying to do the journalism thing like we're doing, it's tough, and there's not a lot of people doing it. So I'm so pleased to have come across you. Tonight I'm doing a chat with a guy called Satoshi. I'll actually post this video the same day as his one, and I found myself last night going, what's the purpose of the video that I'm going to be doing with him? This guy's a hardcore BSV maximalist, and it is going to be a rant. It is going to it's an out and out attack on BTC, on everything else, on the level of intelligence of the other people in those projects or investors in them. I've had him on. I've hosted him a number of times now, so I did find myself last night going, a debate with him and somebody else, fine, but why am I just giving him airtime again to, because, I want to cultivate an audience that respects the fact that I am impartial and presenting facts, but having somebody just rant in my content is I'm starting to think, okay, I mean, that's one particular individual there. I kind of like him as a person. It's almost a caricature in some ways when he does this. He's not really like so much like that offline or not as bad.
Sure, of course. Everybody's best and worst comes out in front of the camera.
Well, he doesn't. He won't actually go on camera, which is the other thing that annoys me. He only puts a picture up, which that's actually he's a pretty hardcore troll, including trolling me last night, which is.
So who was it? Because I've been harassed by that community plenty.
It's a guy called Satoshi. In fact, you should have him on your show as well, please.
Okay.
Can you take him off my hands, Satoshi? I know you're watching this.
I would love for you to come on my show, Satoshi.
Yeah.
If you are into it, let me know.
Oh, he will be.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
So, what's funny is that I was actually having this exact same debate with BTC maximalists at the same time that you were having this debate with BSV maximalists last night. I posted something about maximalism in general being a problem, and someone I was like, the problem is calling all altcoins shit coins. Yeah. Like, maybe you could say 90% of altcoins are shit coins, but there are legitimate projects being built with real utility. And then someone with a very obviously maximalist Bitcoin name wrote me back and said, what projects? And what projects? And I wrote him back and said, from your name, I can see that you're a Bitcoin maximalist, and I have no problem with that, but I'm not going to get into a debate on Twitter when one of us is hiding behind anonymity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, so dox yourself and I'll tell you you'll tell us what projects. How ridiculous is that? I said, look, if you want to have a debate, that means that both sides need to be on equal footing. You know who I am. I have no idea who you are. I'm not going to give you a forum to spout your shit.
Is this chat on Twitter? I think I'd ever read of it.
It's all there. It's all there.
I was a late comer to Twitter. I've literally only been there for, extensively for probably not even more than about 8 or 9 months. And my God, it's hardcore, huh?
It's crazy, right? So I had been on Twitter, but not really active, like, you know, like under 100 following and followers. And I was like perfectly content with my little like Twitter crew, right?
Yep.
So since I think like the end of October, that's when I left World CryptoCon, my like following has grown from like 74 to close to 700.
Oh, awesome.
And I haven't done anything like giveaways or, you know?
Yeah.
So expanding the number of people or like the people who I'm surrounding myself with on Twitter has been like a really eye-opening experience.
Nicole, I suspect you're going to get a rather large following very quickly. Yeah, my audiences have got to know you now. I'm very pleased to pass Satoshi over to you. You can handle him for a while. Actually, we should all do a video together to begin with.
That would be fun.
That will be. Yeah, it sounds like you very much sort of followed a similar path to myself and understanding that.
Actually, I just realized what time it is, and I have another call at 9, so I'm good. I'm good. I have like 13 minutes.
Okay, cool. So, tell us. I'm based here in Singapore, where I've just looked on this table next to me. I've got disposable masks. Rubber, what do we got here? Wipes and rubber gloves. It's getting crazy here with this.
Yeah, what's going on in Singapore?
It's a strange feeling in town at the moment. You know, anyone sort of coughing around you, you're, oh my God, or if you. So, where are you based?
So I live in Idaho.
In Idaho?
Yep.
Okay, though, you probably don't have the coronavirus there yet.
No, not yet, but I won't tell you, like, I will tell you that I coughed a couple of, like, I had like a nasty cough last week, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I was actually quite ill on Wednesday and Thursday. It turned out to be some food poisoning from some oysters, but I was fairly convinced, okay, my number's up here. But no, I bounced back, so I don't have the coronavirus, fortunately. But and you're off to leaving Idaho to go to, where is it, Cancun?
To Acapulco.
Acapulco, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the Satoshi Roundtable's in Cancun.
It is, yeah. And I know that that's also like southern Mexico, but I'm not sure how close.
Get yourself an invite for that.
To the round table?
Oh yeah.
That's
straight to the top table for you.
So that's probably like my ultimate crypto dream.
Well, bit of networking in Acapulco. So who are you looking forward to seeing in Acapulco? God, why do they call it that? It's a tough one to get around. But yeah, who's there? Who are you looking forward to seeing?
So, I mean, there's so many people who I'm really looking forward to meeting in person, talking with in person. I have some friends just like from other crypto events and like just other knowing people who are attending. Of course, I'm looking forward to spending time with them. Initially, the whole reason that I wanted to go to Acapulco was because I wanted to talk with Jeff Berwick. And I'm still really looking forward to that, Jeff. And of course, Naomi Brockwell is going to be there, and I managed to convince her to watch how I use the price of cryptocurrency to emotionally manipulate my boyfriend video. So I'm looking forward to meeting her in person.
I'm going to say something a little controversial here. So I really, Jeff Berwick, he's not everyone's cup of tea. I actually think that guy is very level-headed in his approach to these different Bitcoins.
Well, exactly.
I think he talks a hell of a lot of sense. It's early days. This race isn't won. I think it's naive to think that BTC it certainly has dominance right now. But will that always be the case? That time will tell. And I think he's a journalist, and I think he covers this really, really well. Whereas Naomi disappointed me, where with some of her coverage, she clearly absolutely hates Craig Wright and BSV with a passion, to the point where you know, her coverage of the court case just became quite nasty and vindictive on a real personal level, and I didn't consider that good journalism, and I've got no problem saying that publicly. Actually, I think you know, there's got to be a line if you're playing the journalism game to not get, you know. It can be easy to get a large following by really getting personal and attacking. And I felt that she really did that quite ruthlessly. You know, there was a time where Wright had broken down in tears in court, and she went for a stroke on that, mocking him for it. And you know, once again, it just comes back to, you know, the way people handle things and their personalities do, whether it's subconscious or you just flat out don't like the way it's been dealt with. It is going to affect the way you then cover things. And for me, Naomi didn't handle that well.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I actually haven't followed her coverage of Craig Wright, you know, particularly because I kind of do my own thing and try not to be swayed by any other media people, but just personally, I've always enjoyed her content. I think that she bridges that gap really well between entertaining and educational.
Yeah. I agree, and that's why I felt I wanted to say that, because that became a real nasty, you know, personal attack. You know, from you know, so the you know, technical people of projects that you know, would have a strong view on various things. That's fine, but you know, when you're out there publicly, I'm just seeing that a lot from content creators now, and you know, I'm like, well, you know, if you're the ones that are bringing, you know, helping to, you know, onboarding new people, teaching people what is happening in this space, you almost got to have a disclaimer now to say, hey, this is the project I'm with. I'm paid by these people. Yeah. This is what I'm telling you. But there are these other things. Go check it out if you want. I think they're shit. But it's not being presented that way.
It's particularly difficult in this case, in the cryptocurrency case, because it's not always even just I'm fun, you know, such and such is paying for this content. Yep. It's I may own cryptocurrency, and that, you know, that by itself can be a motivation, to skew data. And, you know, it's important that those things get acknowledged. I think that there's a lot of people in the last couple of years who became or claimed to be no coiners as an attempt to, and, you know, I don't have an opinion because I don't know what any of those people's actual situation is. All I know is I don't want to be a no coiner because I think that this is the revolution and I don't want to leave it. But so all I can really do is be you know, transparent about what I have investments in.
Well, I think from a legal standpoint, that is actually a requirement. And when you're a content creator, you know, I'm amazed. You know, I don't want to turn this into having a dig at other content creators, but there are people around who, you know, have made some pretty awful recommendations over the last few years, and they're still here making content, which does surprise me. But moving swiftly on from that, I am actually going to be a no coiner for the next 2 months for what we've been talking about. You know, putting the series out, I put a lot of time and effort into it, and you know, we're rolling out the next episodes in the coming weeks. And I think for me to be able to really be impartial, I don't have a position in a project, and that's actually going to be part of the series, is to really delve in deep into you know, into the leading projects, but also try and uncover some gems for the audience, and effectively go on a bit of a journey. And when I do take a position on a project, really explain why. You know, because you know, even just BTC has so many reasons why you might want to be a holder or a user of that. And you know, your average newbie just really doesn't understand that. You know, there's financial reasons, there's philosophical reasons, and you know, each has its
philosophical reasons. The ideological philosophical stuff is really where I get hung up with the whole BSD Craig Wright thing. Because I can see functionally how the product works. You know, but I get real hung up on the Ross Ulbricht is a criminal who should be spending the rest of his life behind bars thing. Like that's a little bit far for me. You know, other issues like that are like kind of like I can acknowledge them because that's what a responsible person does. Like I definitely have ideological hangups.
Yeah, I mean, it would be fair to say that, you know, so a lot of some of these people of these projects could do with very good PR managers.
Yeah.
You know, we're dealing with, you know, you've met many of them by the sound of it. You know, there's some highly intelligent people there. Some of them, some personalities are a little bit different. You know, some of these people aren't. They're certainly not average. And you are, you know, we are dealing with some very interesting characters. And you know, look, Jeff Berwick's a wonderful example. You know, what really attracted me to this space back in sort of 2016, obviously it was the fact prices were going through the roof, and you could make some pretty crazy money for very little effort. That's obviously what brought me in. But then when I came across all these weird and wonderful characters that are in this space, like, oh my God. And I was actually coming from a reality TV background at the time. I'm like,
nice.
These stories are, this is way better than anything else I'm seeing.
Oh my God. I totally understand, Sean. I like really, really, really want to keep doing this, but I have to go because I have to jump on my other call.
And you got to get on your plane. That's super exciting.
And then I have to finish packing and get on a plane. But let's try to do something like from Acapulco, okay?
That would be awesome. I'd absolutely love to do that. And thanks so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure. Big smile on my face. Great.
Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to having you on my show in the future, too.
Definitely. All right. Well, we'll stay in touch on Twitter, and I'll speak to you from Acapulco.
Okay. Bye, Sean.
Happy travels. Awesome talking with you.
Thanks.